Hangout's webpage. I have an invitation on there from Joe Cross.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I admit I kind of tried everything.
Yeah, no, hey, whatever works.
There's even Andy. Yay! All right, so something that I did worked. Hi, Andy.
All right. Well, hopefully the next time around we do this, then it'll be a little bit more cohesive here.
Well, so to be honest, Joe, Andrea is probably the only person other than me that's going to be joining from outside. I haven't heard anything concrete from any of the other non-US folks. So if you do your own survey there and you think it's time, we can probably get started whenever you're ready.
Yeah, sure. I think we've got pretty much everyone that was supposed to be getting in here. Let me just check my email once more real quick and make sure that nobody else is trying to come through. We are missing 2 people from my end that said that they wanted to get on prior to this, but let me just send a quick text message here.
Yes.
Let's see. Peter, Christian, Josh, Joe, Andrea. Okay. All right. Well, we can move on in the interest of time here, and kind of start off everything. If you guys wouldn't mind, just kind of muting yourselves while you're not talking, it'll kind of save all of us a little bit of confusion here when we get all the different screens coming up when someone's noise goes off. All right, so thanks for tuning in to the first e-NABLE Chapters Board of Representatives video conference. For those of you who don't really know me yet, my name's Joe Fairley. I'll be leading this the meeting today. So this meeting is being held to introduce those of you who have expressed interest in establishing an official chapter of e-NABLE. By assembling all of us in one place, I hope that we can create an innovative collaboration between the chapters so we can further our influence in our own respective communities, as well as have a lasting impact on the research and development of these 3D printed prosthetic devices. So please hold any lingering questions you guys have until the final minutes of the meeting where we can address any of those. Just kind of jot them down and we'll go from there. Sorry, we've got one more person trying to get in here. Let me just send her the updated link real quick. All right. So yeah, we kind of just already went through a couple small introductions there while we were kind of waiting in the process to figure out what the heck was going on. But I'd like to officially introduce you guys to Joe Cross. He's initiated an e-NABLE chapter in Budapest, Hungary, and would like to further e-NABLE's influence to parts of the world that are facing technical and ethical obstacles that we kind of take for granted. So by collaborating with him, those of you who'd want to expand your reach to an international approach, you might be able to begin this process today by hearing about his goals and aspirations in that area. This is just one area of interest that I'd like to talk about today. But before we get into anything more, let's go ahead with Joe. Joe, want to take the stand here?
Sure. Hi, my name is Joe Cross. I live in Budapest, Hungary. Basically, me and one of the other members here that you see on here, Andrea Ortel, and Christian Stoyanov, the 3 of us are kind of a core group that have started this Budapest chapter out here. And that's really about all that I have to say. Like Joe had said, the biggest thing that I'm really excited about getting these different groups together for is really trying to learn from other people who have already been doing this and learning about how you overcome challenges with measurements, what you're doing in order to deal with recipients that you can't meet with in person. If you're in an area where you struggle to get some of the pieces and parts that are needed in order to make the hands, things like that. Those were always very exciting to me. But if nothing else, it's just great to actually see some other folks who have the energy to try and sustain an actual e-NABLE team, and do the hard work that's necessary to do this. Because I mean, everybody knows, right? This is no joke. Once you get knee deep into it, all of a sudden you realize that you're doing something that really matters, and people are relying on you. So it's great to see people who have that much passion and energy about it. Joseph, would you mind if Andrea goes next, because I think she might have to jump off before we're done. I'd love for her to introduce herself.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll hear from anyone you got here outside the U.S., and then we'll go to everyone else that I've brought in from the U.S. here. So go for it.
Hi, I don't know you can. I'm actually on my phone. Can somebody answer back to see if you can hear me at all?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Wow. Because I don't see anybody really, and this little screen doesn't really tell me who is in and who is there. So I'm at work, and I can't really speak too loud either because I just came out of the classroom to talk to you. So I could hardly hear you, Joseph, and I could hardly hear Joe. I'm not really sure what you expect of me or what is happening right here now. Maybe you could repeat, just what I could tell you right now.
Just introduce yourself.
Yep.
I don't even know if you can.
It's absolutely dead. I can't hear a thing.
Well, then I can speak for Andrea. Maybe she can hear me. So Andrea has been my partner in getting this whole chapter going. She has a slight accent, as you can tell, so she speaks fluent Hungarian and English, which has been basically imperative. There was no way that I would be able to have gotten this chapter going without a partner who speaks the local language. So Andi has been the one who's contacted all of the local charities in order to get connected with our recipients. She's the one who's coordinated with our recipients who don't speak English. She's done a lot to try and recruit new volunteers and go to different events and conferences. So she's been absolutely critical to this whole thing. And so I'm grateful that she came on early. And I'm sorry that she's not in a better position to speak to us today.
Thank you. I heard quite a lot of that. Thank you.
I hope I did you justice.
All right, great. Well, that's good to hear from someone else outside the U.S. here. Trying to get this global influence is a huge part of what e-NABLE's doing right now, going forward. All right, so let's move on to the other introductions of the chapter representatives here. Right now I'll go forth with kind of who I am, what I've been doing. So I started the Siena College chapter last March up in upstate New York, and we put together a couple hands for 2 recipients. Since then I've moved on. That chapter is still going in my place. I've moved on to a Master's of Exercise and Sports Science at Merrimack College, and have also created a chapter there. We've just got one of our own recipients, so trying to make a 10-year-old boy a Batman-themed hand by Christmas. So that's one of our initial goals here. But my involvement in e-NABLE has been greater than that, where this whole chapter aspect of it, I really wanted to start up because I feel that we've got a lot more power in numbers, right? But it's got to be a collaborative effort in the way that we actually work together, because if we aren't all working together on this and we're just kind of shooting ideas off of each other just in the Google Plus environment, I feel like we could be getting a lot more work done in areas like the research and development side of the hands, as well as the kind of follow-up process with the recipients. So right now I'm going through a capstone project where I'm trying to kind of implement a more solid follow-up program with the recipients. I don't know, for those of you who have had recipients so far, how much in follow-up you guys have done. I'd love to hear about it. But for some people, it's just kind of the fact that you go ahead and give this hand to your recipient, and then sometimes you just kind of lose sight and stop hearing from them at all. So we kind of want to, stop that from happening and keep the relationship going after they get the hand, as well as kind of mediate that recipient process a little bit easier. So I've been talking with Melina Brown quite a bit. She's very interested in kind of having our chapters as coaches, for lack of a better word, where we would kind of mediate again between the recipient and whoever's making the hand, whatever part of that chapter. One person for every 3 to 5 recipients, and just kind of establish that relationship so that they have one person that they talk to solidly throughout their whole experience with e-NABLE. All right, so that's just a little bit about what I've been doing at Merrimack and Vienna. But next here, so let's go through the list of who's here right now, and we'll go through that. You guys can talk on kind of your background with e-NABLE, what you guys are doing right now, where your chapters are at, and any other little tidbits that you guys think might sound useful. So we'll go in this order here, starting with Peter Larson from UMass Lowell. We'll go to Bob Payne from SUNY Polytech in Utica on the first robotics team, the Robo-Spartans there. To Kristen Einthoven from Penn State University with DigiDigits. I believe we have Jessica in here, Jessica Burgo from the University of Florida, and Ellie Perry from Bucknell University. All right, so let's go in that order, guys, and kind of just introduce yourself, and we'll go from there. Thanks.
All right, hey all. My name is Peter. Like I said, Peter Larson. So founded the UMass Lowell chapter of e-NABLE. So we're new, started this fall. We've been paired with our first recipient. So we're trying to get a 8-year-old boy who has a thumb but no fingers on his left hand. A camo-themed hand by Christmas is the goal. So really, this kid Ethan is our main drive right now. I've got about, I would say, 15 active members. This is a mix of engineers and health science majors. We've got a lot of nurses, a lot of exercise physiology, and then plastics and mechanical engineering. So yeah, major projects we're trying to get done is we're trying to get this kid a hand. We're working on pre-delivery deliverables, for lack of a better term. So information on good amputee hygiene. This kid's never worn a device before. We're trying to work with him to be sure that he knows how to keep it clean. As well as getting him in using some wrist flexion exercises before he gets the hand, so he's not too overwhelmed. We're starting up our first major fundraiser, simple one, sending essentially a newsletter out to members, families, and friends looking for donations. And then a lot of design style projects. So I've got small teams of engineers, 2 or 3 people in a group, working on a variety of projects, trying to make something like the Raptor have a greater degree of opposability in the thumb, all the way up to I have a master's student who's an electrical engineer who wants to try and integrate some myoelectrics for his term project. So I'm just giving him as many resources as possible. Yeah, so for the most part, that's where we're at. First recipient, started this fall, and excited to keep working with y'all. That's what I got.
All right, thanks, Peter. Thanks. We'll head on to Bob Payne now.
Okay. You got me now?
Yep.
Okay, good morning. Bob Payne, as Joe mentioned, adjunct instructor at SUNY Polytechnic here in Utica, production and operation management. So we got a couple things going. We use the e-NABLE as an assembly project, where we can teach the students how to properly come up with efficient ways to assemble products, how to set up an assembly line, how to do some quality checks throughout the process, materials management, all the things that you would use in a real live production operation. So now they're using those things that they learn in the classroom, putting them to proper use, and in basically helping change the world. Feeding those this class is another project that my wife and I are involved with. Is First Tech Challenge, and if anyone's not familiar with First, the non-for-profit founded by Dean Kamen out in New Hampshire, it's a robotics competition for ages. It covers all ages from 6-year-olds up to 18-year-olds in high school. We're involved in the First Tech Challenge. Roughly 6,000 teams around the world. Right now, in our project, we have, I think, 20 teams that are printing out the prosthetic hands parts, the pieces, sending them to me, and then my students are then going through that process of inventorying the components and setting up that production line, if you will. Our goal is to have, in December here, roughly 30 hands that we'll be sending off to a medical group that will distribute them to Haiti or wherever they're needed around the world. Our overall goal, my overall goal, is to help set up SUNY Polytechnic here in Utica as a hub, so that other organizations around the country or around the world would be able to send parts, components here to Utica, and then we would be able to distribute them as needed through the e-NABLE community. So the real cool thing about this is we get kids, high school kids, working with college students, creating these prosthetic hands that, again, as we all know, help change the world, help change some individual child's life. I've been involved in this for about 3 months now, so it's kind of new to me. So we've been all over the place, working with a university down in Florida who has some ideas on how to change the hands, but they do not have the capabilities for CAD and don't have the capabilities for 3D printing. So the goal is they would collaborate with my students, send designs up to us here in Utica. We would then bring those designs to life and then send them down to their university for testing. So that's pretty much all of the fun stuff that we're doing up here in Utica, New York.
Awesome. All right.
Awesome.
Thanks,
All right.
Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
And now, Kristen.
Hey, I'm Kristen. I started a club last spring at Penn State University called DigiDigits. And a little bit about our club. We're actually comprised of both a lot of engineers and architects. Our club originally started in the architecture department because that's where our schools, most of our 3D printers are right now. So we have about 30 active members, but we're definitely growing pretty quickly. One of the things that we did that might be helpful for some of the other schools that are looking for fundraising, I know a couple people mentioned, we were able to do a fundraiser through a school-affiliated program called USEED. They work with a lot of different universities, and they have a pretty big base at Penn State. And we were actually able to complete a $16,000 fundraiser this past fall in 30 days. Our original goal was $8,000, but we were actually able to double that. I think, this is obviously a really cool idea. Of the students here are working really hard at it, and so I think it definitely inspired a lot of people. So that may be something that other schools would be able to jump in on, and maybe be able to work with USEED if it's available at their school, because it was a really great program for us, and it taught us a lot about fundraising as well. Right now we're working on, we have 3 different design projects. We really want to be design-based with our club right now. And so our first project is actually designing a new rendition of the Owen finger replacement for our recipient, Colin, who's a 10-year-old boy from Delaware. So we're completely redesigning the back plate on his hand, and as well as the finger caps if we have time, but obviously our goal is to get it to him by Christmas, as is most of our goals right now. We also are looking into something similar to an RAT arm that e-NABLE has already, where it only requires some of the forearm and not necessarily a wrist. So we're looking at creating one of those and adding another recipient in the spring, as well as I think someone else also mentioned some myoelectronics and an electronically actuated arm as well. So we have, within our 30 students, we have a lot of, we have I think about 5 to 6 students each on each research team, and the rest are dedicated to our production, 3D printing, and assembly team, where we're actually able to purchase some of our own club 3D printers of our choice thanks to our fundraiser. So that's kind of what we're doing here.
All right, awesome, Kristen. Thanks. We'll move on to Jessica.
Hi guys, my name is Jessica Bergau. I'm from the University of Florida, and I started a club called GRIP here. We do the same thing that you guys do. We have about 30 active members right now, and we operate off of a $2,000 grant that we got from the library system, because the libraries have been really active at our school and trying to get people involved in STEM education and especially 3D printing. So we became an official club in August, but we were doing kind of trial runs over the summer where we had 4 teams of about 3 people each paired with 1 recipient, and we're just finishing up those cases still. We had 2 very successful ones, and the other ones are getting new devices because the first devices weren't very successful. We've been trying to try as many different devices as we can to see what needs design improvements and what doesn't. So we're getting those finished up, and then we've also been working with an organization here in Florida called Hands to Love that operates out of the university, and it's basically a big network and a camp for kids and their families who have upper limb differences, and they put on a giant camp in the spring with about 80 different families from all across the nation who all come, and they teach the kids archery and rock climbing and various confidence building things, and it's also a network for the families to kind of get advice from each other. But for the first time in the spring, they actually put on this thing called the Fall Teen Retreat, which is basically for the kids who have aged out of the camp and who are in high school now. And they had a small group of them, about 15 of those kids came back just 2 weeks ago, I think. And so Hands to Love worked with GRIP, and we put on a 3D printing workshop with them and a lot of STEM education, had them print out their own stuff. And then beforehand, we'd been working with some kids who had chosen to get devices, and we fitted them with devices at the camp. So we brought about 25 of our members out there, and we fitted 4 recipients with 6 different devices. And like I said, we've been trying to try a bunch of different devices and see what's really working and what isn't. We've been having a lot of problems with the RIT arm, that it's, especially for teenagers who have obviously grown up with their difference, they really know how to use it to their advantage. This arm is just too large for them to make any real progress out of. So we kind of modified a design off of it. I don't know if you guys saw, but a while ago someone posted a link from Instructables with a device called the Playful Prosthetic. Have any of you guys seen that? Basically, it's 2 3D printed pieces, one called the starfish and one called the barnacle, and they get thermoformed onto a residual nub on the end here, and then you use a simple bike clamp to put in any universal attachment that you can. So for example, the original child that it was designed for, he wanted to be able to play the violin, but as you know, you have to use the bow as well as holding the actual violin. And so the idea is that this attachment, which is the bow, can just go right into the end of the residual, clamp on there, and he can do it with one hand and put it on. So we were originally doing trials with that and testing it, but the strength of the these 2 pieces just was not sufficient for us. We didn't like it. We didn't think the recipients would like it. So we took a version of the RIT arm and changed it basically, so you still have the cuff on the bicep here, and you've got a residual cup that goes on the end, and then we designed kind of an L bracket that goes in, so you twist this universal attachment into the L bracket, and then you can basically put in whatever 1-inch attachment that you want. So we did this for some of the recipients at the Hands to Love camp. We designed a marshmallow shooter, which is really cool. We have lots of pictures and videos of that will be coming out soon once we get all the photo releases and everything done. So basically it's like a marshmallow shooter on the end of his arm. So the idea is that you do fun things as well as things that are applicable to his everyday life. And one of the other designs we did was something to hold on to a kayak paddle, because kayak paddles are double, and so you have to be able to use them with both hands. Basically it's a gate clamp that comes down, notches onto the paddle, and he can just hold it like that and go like that. So we'll be releasing those designs really soon as we clean them up a little bit, so that the whole e-NABLE community can look at them, because I think that's something that would be really progressive, especially for people who are super adapted to their life with their difference already and don't necessarily need something that's going to be semi-effective for them but extremely bulky. And so right now we're trying to focus a lot also on STEM education at the university, because that's obviously one of the goals of the administration who gave us the grant, is to really increase STEM education in girls and minorities at the university. And so we're trying to do that, but also trying to keep a very controlled growth, because University of Florida is so large. We have a lot of students who are extremely interested, and a lot of them who are would be very useful to the club, but we can't get too many members before keeping growth in track with how many recipients we have, if that makes sense. So that's about where we're at currently.
Gotcha. Awesome. I definitely want to hear more about that Instructables features you had on there. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. All right, Ellie.
Am I on? All right, I'm on. Hey everyone, I'm Ellie Perry. I'm from Bucknell University in central Pennsylvania. We started our chapter middle of October, so we're still pretty new. And we're exclusively biomedical engineering majors at Bucknell. For now, our hope is to open up the chapter to all majors starting next semester when we become an official organization on campus. Right now, we're kind of operating underground. And this semester, we have finished our test hand and are sending it in soon. We haven't gotten matched with anyone yet, obviously, but our hope is to have that for next semester. We're also currently working on a large-scale demonstration hand, something that adults, like college-age adults, can put on and kind of play with to see how the hand actually works, and also as a way of advertising our organization. It's going to be in our school colors, orange and blue, so it should be pretty cool. Our hope for next semester is to become a recognized organization on campus and get matched with a recipient, as I said. And the projects we want to work on include working on thumb opposability, this gripping motion as opposed to having the perpendicular thumb. And we also want to work on having a device that can use lateral wrist motion, so back and forth this way as well as up and down. We currently have about 8 or 10 active members, and we're hoping to grow a lot next semester once we open up to the whole campus. That's where we're at.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, guys, for sharing your experiences here. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to go briefly over some of our goals that we have by creating this kind of e-NABLE chapters board of representatives. We're really trying to come together to address some major problems and issues. As you can see, all of us have some difficulties with different things, whether it's fundraising or the recipient aspect, getting some more grip strength out of the hands. So in short, some of our overarching goals here are to kind of bring all the chapter representatives together in one place, so we can communicate more easily with everyone and start actually making some solid progress in some of these areas. We would also like to kind of possibly broaden our outreach to other areas of the world with lesser resources, also with along the same lines of what Joe is doing, and volunteers like Joe in Europe and other parts of the world. But ultimately, just to have a more efficient and consistent relationship with the recipient, their associated chapter, so that we can give them the greater usability while keeping everything cost-effective and practical for the recipient. So some of the major problems that have been outlined here today, as well as some of the backer ones that I've been thinking about, regard the entire kind of recipient experience, right? So overall grip strength, obviously we need to get a little bit more usability out of these hand devices. In some aspects, I kind of like to just talk about the hands as a little bit more than a glorified toy in some aspects, right? We've kind of all seen the limitations it has. It's getting better every day, and we're kind of finding our own ways to make it that much better. But one area that I'd like to look into at least is the haptic feedback. Looking at this issue across prosthetics right now in general, for upper extremity prostheses, it's a huge field that's really growing with the myoelectric designs that we're trying to go for now with 3D printing. So I think that's an area that we can definitely expand upon, as well as the strength testing of the actual devices themselves. So at least for myself, I've only seen a couple different posts on Google Plus and in other areas to actually look at the strength of the materials, trying to use different materials, whether it's a flexible material or some kind of hybrid between a known polymer and then something else that we're adding it to. And then again, the overall recipient experience with a follow-up program, something that, like I said, I'm currently working on, and hopefully we can try to implement that in other areas. With some of these goals and problems outlined now, I'd like to focus on a time now that we can kind of all meet. If you guys think this is something that might be helpful for your chapters, and then outreaching to more recipients that way. Please give us some feedback on what you guys are thinking here. Thinking about having something that's just like this, a video conference that's probably recorded, so people can go back and reference it later, or if they couldn't make the meeting, then we're going to be able to have something they can go back to and listen to. As well as having something that's written down that we'll probably post somewhere. We're thinking about trying to integrate some form of social media for ourselves. So just having a page where all of us can get together, whether it's through the actual e-NABLE website, getting a tab on there where we have our own forum page, or just going through and creating something like the Google Plus environment. I'm not sure if that's the best form to use, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm sure you have. It's you post something up on there and then it's gone within a couple days and you have no idea where it went. If you're trying to reference something that way and trying to get some feedback from other people around the world who are having the same problems you are, it's time-consuming and just kind of tedious to go through, right? So joining all of us together like this will hopefully kind of go around that process a little bit, so we can actually make some strides in areas a lot more quickly than we have been in the past. So I'd like to kind of go around the room here, so to say, and see if this is a good time for people. Good time, day, looking towards future meetings, what you folks could possibly, what you guys could possibly make. Probably looking for anywhere from maybe an hour to maybe 2 hours at some points where we're actually getting into some nitty-gritty stuff. But in that case, we can hold separate meetings if that need becomes greater. Looking towards something that's probably bi-weekly, so every other week. All of us get together, kind of share our experiences with what we've gone through the past couple weeks. Just try to, again, get us all together on the same page and try to see if we can start helping one another out. So let's go around the room again and just see, if you guys could just let me know what your thoughts are on this process, and then try to see if this is a good time or day today, or if there's a better time for you guys to send either yourself or another representative from your group. So let's head on over to Joe here for a second.
Yeah, so I commented, this is a great day and time for me. It's 2:45 p.m. here now, so this works perfect every week whenever we want to do it. One point I would make is that I did take some notes during this, and there's a couple of things that I would love to follow up with some folks on. I heard some references to the RIT arm and some new designs and things like that, and one of the things that has always really bothered me about the major e-NABLE group is that I see a lot of people reinventing the wheel, right? Like many people doing kind of the same thing over and over again in a slightly different way, just because Google Plus sucks as a way to let people know what's going on. So they miss that post, and they go invest 3 months of their life in creating something that is awesome, but that might have only taken them 2 weeks if they had just tweaked the design that their next door neighbor was using, if only they'd known about it. So I'd love to follow up on those kinds of things. So one thing I'll throw out there just for discussion is, I don't know if everybody's familiar with the forums, the official e-NABLE forums, but it's more like a BBS style. It gives you push notifications. It's a little bit more usable than Google Plus. I'm still an admin on there, and so I could probably push the buttons and twist the knobs to create a forum on there if that was something that the group wanted to use. If it just becomes another source of noise and static for everybody that they have to ignore, then it won't be helpful. So I can just follow up with people, point to point and whatnot, but I feel like we'll start to lose some of the value if we don't have a way of sort of claiming that value across everybody. So I'll just put that out there as one option. I'm open to anything that works where I can kind of go out there and say, for example, hey, did you guys know that Nick Norris has posted a brand new version of the RIT ARM, and the Team Unlimited group in the UK is working on a thermoformed version of it that fits on the Phoenix hand. So if you were thinking about working on an ARM, at least kind of pay attention to what they're doing, because you might be able to learn from it, if not just piggyback on it. Whatever is the right mechanism or tool for us to have those conversations and sort of facilitate that cross-team learning, I'm down. That's really what I am passionate about, because especially being out here in Budapest, I'm I'm kind of on an island, right? This is really my chance to learn from everybody else. So anyway, I'll stop there, but that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Oh, perfect, awesome. Peter here?
Yeah, okay, so this time works for me. So long as we're out by like 9:15-ish, that's totally okay with me, even if it's the kind of thing where I dip out a bit early. But yeah, so in terms of hopes, I agree. The benefit of the organization is that we have 6,000 people across the globe who want to do good. Like, we have people engaged in humanitarian nerds. That's what we have. What we don't have is good communication systems. So I think you're exactly right when you say, Joe, that people keep reinventing the wheel. So the way we can really get our full potential as an organization is if we're working on things together. You know, if the University of Florida team and my team, and we're like, if everybody's working on different parts of a similar project, we can do far and away more than we could alone. So I'm excited about the possibility of this. I think regular FaceTime chats is probably better than an email and email system, though we should be doing that as well. I like the idea of working on the forum. You're right, though. It doesn't have to do with engagement. If people aren't engaged in it, how helpful is it going to be? Yeah, so I'm hopeful for the future and looking forward to the next one for sure. But this time works for me.
Awesome, thanks, Peter. Let's hear from Bob now.
Okay, so can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, so there might have been some static, so maybe this works a little better. Okay, so I'm hearing all this good stuff, and the thing that, a couple things I'll just comment on. This is a good, I should say this, there's no good time. I mean, so we just make the time that works, and I will make this work. You know, I have a full-time job as an engineering manager, adjunct instructor at SUNY Polytechnic, and then the robotics team that we coach here 3-4 nights a week. It's just amazing that we get all this stuff done. But one of the things that I found is that we all have our certain expertises, certain things that we have, certain resources that we can do best. And I think that as we, as a group, go forward, we should categorize those so that if someone is looking for strength testing, they know they can come to SUNY Polytechnic. We might be able to help them out with that. So some of the students that we're working on is, you know, how many times can a wrist bend that's not going to allow the different materials that we're using to bend those fingers, the strings and what have you, to elongate and have those readjusted. So we're trying to collect some data on that. Maybe that data is already out there. We're not certain, but it's some of the things that we should think about as we move forward. And then, again, lastly, I am very happy to be part of this group. I think we can do some wonderful things with the students out there at all these universities, with the high school students, with this whole Google community. So I'm happy to be on board.
Great, thanks. Yeah, that's another little area that I'd like to touch on real quick is that this kind of high school outreach, getting younger people involved, you know, it's a huge aspect of e-NABLE, of trying to get this STEM education pushed forward. You know, that's why they came up with the E3 STEAM Educators Exchange, you know, initiative in the first place. So that'll definitely be one aspect that we'll try to get involved with. I know I've started a kind of chapter in training, if you will, at my old high school, and currently trying to do one here as well in Massachusetts. All right, great. So let's hear from Kristen now.
I think that this time generally works for me. It might be a little tough for the end of the semester, but this should definitely work. I also think that collaborating, you know, through Google Hangouts or whichever best means that we find will certainly be really helpful, especially I feel like as university level groups. I think that we have a lot of potential, especially in the research aspect for these hands, and you guys are absolutely right to say that, you know, it's definitely going to be the most efficient if we can all you know, work together and not be repeating the same kind of improvements in different variations. So yeah, I'm definitely on board with this.
Very cool. Thanks, Kristen. We'll hear from Jessica now.
Yep. This time pretty much works for me this day also. And then just to touch on what you're saying and like reiterate it a little bit, when we were getting ready for hand camp and we were going through all the files and working with all the different devices, a lot of finding like the newest file or finding the newest comment was actually just going through posts and like just thumbing through, and like you wouldn't find that the newest updated file until someone posted it in a comment randomly on some post. And so I think really making the Google Plus page more comprehensive and at least possibly updating the website so that it has the most up-to-date devices for new members would be something that would be extremely helpful. Because it's hard to talk to new members and bring them in and be like, yes, look at this website, but then these aren't the devices that we're actually using anymore. We're using all these new devices, and you have to go look through all these comments to find them.
Yeah, definitely an area for improvement for sure. And some of the stuff that we've been talking about, guys, is currently trying to be improved by e-NABLE. You know, so just through talking with John Scholl and Melina Brown there, you know, I've heard a little bit of the background noise as to what they're doing. They are trying to kind of up their game with what is going on. You know, but it's definitely something that we could help out in that respect. All right, Ellie?
This time will work for me up until around January. Then I'll have class at 8 a.m. on Tuesdays, unfortunately. Hopefully I could get somebody else in, but I'd like to be here too. But I hate to be the only one stopping this meeting from happening at this time. So I guess we can discuss that. I definitely agree. Communication needs to be improved in the Google Plus form. We want to, like I mentioned, we want to try working on the opposable thumb idea, but I've seen it's been done, sort of. And I think it was Peter was talking about wanting to do that as well. So it'd be really great to work together with people on that. And especially Kristen, we're only an hour apart, Penn State and Bucknell. So I really want to like get in contact with you individually. Because I think we could work together a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
All right, great. Thanks, guys. You know, I really appreciate you guys coming forward today and getting together and talking to us. You know, hearing all the different aspects from different people is really going to help in the long run, like we've all said, to try to connect the dots here. You know, whether it's connecting people like Ellie and Kristen there who are a couple hours away. I mean, that's an easy fix, right? And then, you know, trying to connect the dots abroad too. You know, trying to get to these other places if some people have some interest in that as well. You know, so thanks for participating here today. Looks like Bob lost connection. He wants to apologize to everyone, but no worries there, Bob. You input enough here today. So looking forward, I guess this Tuesday time will work great for a little while here. Again, if something comes up and you know, starting next semester we have different things going on where it won't work for that time, we can definitely find a different time. We'll set up, you know, just through email or something, or we'll go through Google, like a doodle poll or something, to find a good time for everyone. Because I know there's people that wanted to be here today that couldn't. I believe there was about 3 other people at least that couldn't make it today. But you know, also these are, you know, everyone that's here today has either just contacted me or I've reached out to them as far as starting a chapter. So this definitely isn't. This is barely the tip of the iceberg, guys. You know, we can definitely find more people that are involved right now at different schools. So if you guys hear any chit chat from anyone, you know, that's looking to start up a chapter or looking to, you know, that already has something established, then definitely reach out to them. Let them know that they're definitely welcome to join in here. As far as the kind of official paperwork goes for the chapter establishment, that's coming along. There's paperwork coming through e-NABLE as well as myself. So there's you know, a little bit of lag in both respects. One because of some background school stuff, obviously, that I've got going on, but then just going through e-NABLE with this kind of official process is going to take a little while because of the they actually have lawyers and attorneys involved. So you know, that's it's going to take a little while for that to happen. It might happen by the new year. If it doesn't happen then, you know, for all intents and purposes, guys, you are official chapters. You know, there's no, you know, basically, if you're involved and you're active, you're an official chapter. There's nothing that is going into this paperwork that's saying otherwise. It's really just a form of e-NABLE saying, hey, you know, to other companies like Google, who gave them that $600,000 grant, you know, we actually have these people signed, you know, signed up as chapters. It is an official process. So they can tell those people to get more support, that they have these different, you know, these different entities around the world here. So, like I said, don't think that just because nothing's official yet, right, that you guys aren't still able to help out that way. Obviously, you guys have gone above and beyond what some other individuals and chapters have done. So, you know, I applaud you for your work there, and hopefully we can, you know, continue this and make some great strides. So after this year, later today, I'm actually going to be heading back home, like probably some of you, for Thanksgiving. So definitely have a great week, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. You know, I will get back to you guys probably later on in the week for kind of setting up a more solid schedule as far as getting more video conferences started up. Like I said, probably every 2 weeks, and we'll start out with this same time and see if there's more people that can join us. All right, so thanks, guys. I appreciate it. If there's anything else you guys would like to say, you can chime in now, or questions, or yeah, we'll go with questions right now and see if we can tap out some of those. So Peter, I see you got something going on there.
Yeah, I was just looking at the bottom here, and it looks like you can share things on Google Drive. Something that I've found effective in terms of collaboration, even within our groups, is to just have a Google Drive share folder. You know, everybody can co-edit, everybody can dump documents in, do that kind of thing. So it'd be helpful for scheduling. I'm seeing some stuff here about a doodle poll from Kristen, and again, Doodle has been pretty effective. So I'm going to go ahead and make a drive. If we use it, we use it. If we don't, it didn't cost anything. But if you want to go here, we can, you know, contribute some documents, even if it's just a place to put like meeting minutes and meeting agendas before and after these meetings. I think that would be good for us all to have a record that we can go back to. And I imagine you've all been taking notes, so we can cross-collaborate as needed, and we can put contact information there. So just putting in that 2 cents.
So I'm just curious, how should we communicate those kinds of things? So I love it. I do everything on Google Drive, and I can tap you guys into everything that I've created, and I'd love to see what you guys have created. How will you send us, for example, how do we want to go about creating like a distribution list, if you will? I think, Joseph, you probably have most of the people, but you may not have the folks that I had invited. Do we want to use that map? Should we create a Google form? Is that all too complicated? Should we all just like put our email addresses in the chat room? What do you guys think about that?
So yeah, just having probably the Excel sheet that you have through Google Drive, and then the one that I made up, would probably be beneficial. Something that we can all just kind of add to as we need to. You know, I might be able to share my screen here with you guys just to show you what I'm kind of talking about. Can you guys see my screen here? You can just nod if you can there.
You've been black for the past half hour.
Oh, all right, that's good. Anyways, it's just an Excel sheet, guys, that kind of outlines who you guys are, and well, I guess Joe's presenting here for me. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, but we can't see anything.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. I was trying to share your screen remotely or do something clever. There's lots of buttons, and none of them's even
you sorry. You still can't see my screen right here?
No, sorry.
No. All right, no worries. That's fine. All right, so yeah, basically we'll just kind of put together a cohesive spreadsheet. That way, you know, we can all just input stuff as we see fit. I think that just kind of be the easiest thing, just putting it right up on a Google Drive shared file. Between that and just like an email list, I know that I have, you know, a fair number of people already set up within an email list to get you guys on here today, so that should work out. Any of you guys have any other questions or insight towards that?
That's also something we can work out as we move towards the next meeting. We don't have to have all the answers right now, but I think yeah, email list sounds like a good start. Requested access. Oh, I got an email about that. Am I muted? Is nobody? Yeah.
No, you're not muted. We can hear you.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted you to know that you might have to do that for each person that clicks on that link in the chat.
Yeah, I'm still learning.
And this is kind of why I was saying as far as everybody's info, right? Because I have the same sort of thing. I'd love it to share with everybody, but for me to go in there and actually share it with 10, 15 different people individually is kind of a pain. And every time we get a new person, then we all have to do it. So it just feels like, yeah, and we can work it out. But I just wanted to put it out there that it'd be great for us to have some kind of place for us to collaborate.
I agree.
Yep, for sure. Anything else there is good? Anything else there, guys? All right. Well, thanks again for coming. Hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving, and we'll hopefully get another meeting like this set up. Let's say probably around like the second or third week in December, maybe somewhere in that time range. So. Until then, guys, keep doing what you're doing. Sounds like we got some great stuff going on. And, until then, have a good one.
You too.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Thanks.